As mentioned, this is our third budget workshop. Tonight we focus on safety and building grounds, and I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Blau.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. Good evening, everyone. As we plan for the future, our district is focused on several key priorities that will guide us in providing the best possible education for our students. We are committed to creating a welcoming, safe, and supportive school environment that fosters the social and emotional well-being of all of our students. We strive to continuously improve our instructional program and expand both curriculum and extracurricular offerings to ensure we are meeting the diverse needs of our students. Another district priority is increasing the number of innovative learning spaces across the district, helping to provide modern environments that promote creativity and collaboration. We also recognize the importance of professional development, which is why we are committed to ongoing research-based training for our staff. We aim to enhance parent collaboration and create more opportunities for parents to be involved in the learning experiences of their children. Finally, we are dedicated to maintaining safe, clean, and energy-efficient buildings and facilities, ensuring that our physical spaces support the growth and success of all of our students. With that in mind, the first part of our budget presentation tonight will focus on the critical areas of school safety and facilities. To give us more insight into these key priorities, I will now turn it over to Mr. McAlevey, our Director of School Safety, who will then be followed by Mr. Bassi, our Director of Buildings and Grounds. They will walk us through their department's accomplishments over the past year and discuss their respective budgets for the upcoming school year.
We took our armed guards in the district and ran them all through active shooter training, so we make sure that we're up to date on all the trainings with our armed and unarmed staff here. We enhanced safety and support across the district, updated equipment, supplies for security and staff needs. We replenished cones across the district that we use, signs for schools, yellow caution tape. In our security vehicles, we replaced a number of batteries in our handheld radios, and we are currently going to be starting a maintenance project on our repeater system. And our repeater system is how we operate our handheld radios on a daily basis. It's not just for security, it's for the custodial staff, the principals. So they're utilized often, and we do have times where they're working up to par, and there's times where they're not. So we're always looking to enhance that, and we will be spending some time in the next few months to do analysis on that system to see where we have any faults. So the overall school safety budget, professional services, 35%. That is, the majority of that is our maintenance contract with A+ Security. A+ Security takes care of all of our cameras, our door access. So if we have any issues with cameras going down or our doors and our IDs not working, A+ comes out, and that's part of that maintenance contract, so it's a big part of that. Also, our professional development falls under that as well. Equipment, 54% is majority of our cameras. We have 2 projects coming up, our last 2 schools for the exterior cameras, which will be Bayview and Okonock. We desperately need new exterior cameras in the building, so a large portion of that will come from that. And then if we need to add new door strikes to the district, that will come out of that as well. Uniforms, the last few years, we've gone down in uniforms, and now it's catching up to us. So we add a little bit more this year because we got to start replenishing. We're adding guards, and we need to replenish some of these uniforms so that they're looking sharp in uniform. And our supplies, again, it's new radios. If a building needs a new radio, batteries, cones, signs, we need every year. So we're always looking to replenish that too. So. And that is it for me. So, Mr. Bassi, if you don't mind coming up.
Good evening, everyone. Our buildings and grounds department is comprised of custodians, mechanics, groundsmen, driver messengers, and cleric workers. Essentially, our task is to keep our facilities clean, safe, and operating properly. Typical of every year, we complete many tasks and projects of all different types. Some of the examples I've listed up here, some would be we installed school and team benches at various buildings, planted trees, upgraded landscaping, we've enhanced walkways and crosswalks to make things safer in the different buildings and parking lot areas. We've installed and improved sidewalks, added parking spaces, emergency access road behind the turf field so that emergency vehicles can respond to softball, baseball, turf field activities, whatever it might be. We've also installed handicap ramps and railings and fencing improvements, and we made drainage improvements across the district as well, both in playing field areas and on the parking lots. Additionally, as you might have heard, we did a new security vestibule at the district office, which allowed for a new safe entrance there, so that the security elements of that entrance are the same as all the schools have. And that was funded with Smart Schools Bond Fund, so it did come out of district budget. On the photo there, you might see the example of all the maintenance crew workers working actually in the basement of the high school. We have ejection pits that pump out waste and other things, and there was a major job that we had to do down there, and it was a team effort. And it was a nice example of the photo of our crew going above and beyond to get down and dirty to get things done. So that was a nice photo we want to share. On the next slide. Additional examples of the excellent improvements we made with the athletic facilities. We've renovated clay ball fields, softball and baseball. We have improved irrigation systems. We've done track striping at the UL Middle School. The football goal posts were replaced, which are also the soccer goals. Basketball backboard systems were replaced in the high school. We did track and field elements throughout the district that were improved in the long jump or the high jump pit, other things like that. In the auditoriums, we rehabilitated the heating and ventilation systems, repaired sound and lighting systems, replaced flooring. Actually, in this part of the auditorium here, this flooring was just replaced. And then the high school entrance showcase, we did some improvements in that as well, with IT department to help with some of the monitors. Also with audio visual for auditoriums and other areas of the building, like the PA systems, we've improved some of those with speakers throughout the building, so emergency announcements can be heard. The gym speaker systems and the orchestra room in Udall have new acoustic panels installed so that the sound elements are better in the room during the orchestra rehearsals and practices. Safety and emergency, as Mr. McAlevey alluded to, we did improvements for doors, hardware, card access readers. We installed 2 AED devices at the high school for outdoor access AEDs, and that was also in part thanks to the West Side Society Club that donated towards that. We replaced exit signs, added additional signage. We did various fence repairs and gate repairs for security, window systems and security, and secure window mechanisms. The high school welding shop, we installed an exhaust system to make it safer for the students. And then we did a new high school fire alarm system, which is wrapping up this month. With HVAC lighting and infrastructure, we repaired many steam heating coils and valves, rooftop unit, air conditioning or ventilation systems, pumps, motors. We've also renovated walls, ceilings, and floors, upgraded LED lighting, added photo cells for efficient control. We've added safety lighting in mechanical rooms and crawl spaces and electrical rooms. There's a lot of hidden areas in the school that were poorly lit. And now that they're well lit, they tend to get better service and maintenance in them. Over the past few years, we've hired many skilled and capable maintenance crew members. That includes grounds workers. These crew members have tackled jobs that many districts, they hire contractors for. When we do work with our own crew in-house, the job can often be done at half or less the cost. In some cases, contractors have quadrupled the cost to do the same type of work we can do in-house. Not only do we save money, we often complete the repairs sooner or to a higher standard. Some examples of these in-house district projects, the Paul J. Ballou Gym and Auditorium have old air handling systems that we've just renovated, changed motors, contactors, and switches on. We built a new copy room at Okonock where everything was moved into a different room, all new electric and some carpentry work in there. It makes it better for the teachers and the whole operation during the day. We replaced old water fountains with filtered bottle fillers. The heating unit vent restoration, that's all the heating units in the classrooms. Many of those we completely gut, replace, and refurbish. The gym floor refinishing, we do that in-house. A lot of districts don't do that. We strip the floors down, we clean everything, we put new sealer on top for all the gyms and the stages, all the wood floors. We also replaced the high school waste ejection pump system. That one example was the photo I talked about. We've also done concrete work, concrete pads, sidewalk sections, pothole repairs, different welding jobs, site drainage jobs. We try to tackle everything we can in-house as often as we can because it is cheaper for the taxpayers and for the district. We've also made electrical repairs to HVAC, lighting, classrooms, the breaker systems, breaker panels, and also the IT necessities for smart boards and other computer equipment. This is a pie chart representing the expenses for our department. You'll notice that the utilities take up the largest portion. That's no surprise. Most of that's electric and heating gas for the winter. The electric has gone up over the years because of the costs for air conditioning, smart boards, IT equipment. Everything seems to be electrically operated these days, including the heat pumps we install for air conditioning classrooms. The good news also, though, is we did solar panel systems a few years back. That has reduced the bill. So overall, our budget for electric hasn't gone up a lot, but it is still a huge number. The cost of custodial cleaning supplies and all the equipment and materials for maintenance projects and custodial has gone up tremendously. They've been substantially increased with inflation and other factors. Similarly, the services and the contractor labor rates that have increased, which drive up everything from dumpster service, alarm services, HVAC repairs, elevator contract, all the things that we do in our department, costs are going up more than they ever have before. And it's inflation and more. Everything is getting more expensive, and we are working hard, as we always have, to spend money efficiently and effectively. So I do feel confident that our department is always trying to find the best way to do the job to make the buildings run as properly as possible and maintain them in a clean state. Thank you for.
Thank you, Mr. Messi. The proposed tax levy for the 2025-26 school year is $96.3 million, which represents a 3.07% increase over the current year's levy. As we work through the process of your revenues equal your expenses, we encountered several that contributed to a significant budget gap for the upcoming school year. One of the most substantial challenges has been inflation. Like many of you have likely experienced in your own lives, inflation has been affecting virtually every aspect of our expenses. Whether it's utilities, supplies, or insurance premiums, costs are rising at a rate that's outpacing our ability to manage. To give some perspective, in the last 4 budget cycles, our tax levy has increased at less than half the rate of inflation. So the average CPI, or Consumer Price Index, increase over the last 4 years has been 4.94%, while our average tax levy increase has been only 2.09%. This disconnect between inflation and our tax levy has made it difficult to keep up with rising costs, and it's one of the key factors contributing to the budget gap that we had to address. As we went through the budget process, we initially faced a significant budget gap of over $8 million in draft 1. To address this, we utilized $3 million of reserves as a revenue source, which helped bridge that gap and bring it down to just over $5 million. So in the top chart, you can see in the first column, draft 1, we had an initial budget gap of just over $5 million after applying $3 million in reserves. In draft 2, we made additional cuts to the budget totaling about $3 million, and we also increased the reserves to be used as a revenue source to $4.35 million. This brought the budget gap down even further to just under $670,000. Finally, in draft 3 of the budget, we made over $500,000 in additional cuts to the expenditure budget and increased the reserves that we were going to use to $4.4 million, which eliminated the budget gap. It is important to note that in the last 4 years, our budget growth has been about half the rate of inflation. While the average CPI increase over the past 4 years, as I mentioned, is 4.94%, our average budget increase over the last 4 years has only been 2.63%. This just shows the ongoing challenge of balancing rising costs with the resources that we have available. This slide just provides a summary of our budget formula, and it explains how you determine what your expenditure budget can be for the next school year. The very first step is to calculate your restricted tax levy using the formula provided by the Office of the State Comptroller. We actually reviewed that calculation in detail in Budget Workshop 1. For the upcoming school year, our proposed tax levy is the $96.3 million, which again reflects an increase of 3.07%. Next, we factor in the expected state aid. Currently, we are using the only information we have, which is the governor's initial executive budget proposal, which does project a decrease in state aid for West Islip. However, we do anticipate receiving the final state budget by April 1st, and we do remain hopeful that the state aid number will increase. We then include all of the other revenue and that we expect to generate, which is projected to be $3.8 million for the next year. We do go into more detail on state aid and other revenues in Budget Workshop 4. After that, we account for any funds that we intend to appropriate from reserves, which is, as I mentioned, is the $4.4 million. So finally, we add in the appropriated fund balance, which is $850,000. And when you add up all of these components, you're left with what the total expenditure budget can be for the upcoming school year, which in our case, for the 2025-26 school year, we are looking at an expenditure budget of $141.4 million. And as you can see, that's an increase of 1.93%. This slide is an overview of our district's fund balance. Fund balance represents the total accumulation of operating surpluses and deficits since a district's inception. It actually consists of 4 different components: non-spendable, restricted, assigned, and unassigned. The non-spendable portion includes the value of inventory and prepaid items. Usually that's in the school lunch fund. The restricted portion of fund balance is made up of the reserves that are designated for a very specific purpose, and they cannot be used for general operating expenses. A reserve fund acts as a savings account. It allows a district to set aside money for future use. They do provide financial stability by reducing the need for borrowing, and they help us avoid drastic cuts or tax increases when we're facing difficult financial times. A strong reserve fund also helps a district improve its bond rating, which it has in our case, which in turn lowers borrowing costs for capital projects. In our district, we have 7 restricted reserves: employee benefit accrued liability reserve, the ERS and TRS reserves, workers' compensation and unemployment, and 2 different capital reserves. The assigned portion of fund balance is made up of appropriated and unappropriated fund balance. The appropriated portion is just the amount of fund balance that is set aside to help fund the upcoming school year's budget. The unappropriated portion is used to carry over purchase orders from the previous fiscal year that just were not fulfilled yet. And the last part of fund balance is the unassigned portion. That's often referred to in Newsday as the 4% balance, as it cannot be more than 4% of the subsequent year's budget. This portion represents surplus funds that are not restricted, they're not assigned, and they basically serve as a financial cushion for emergencies or one-time costs, rather than being used for ongoing operating expenses. So this is the same slide, just with numbers for the last fiscal year, which is June 30th, 2024. Our total fund balance as of June 30th, 2024 was $28.5 million. As you can see, the non-spendable portion was just under $20,000. The restricted portion totals $21.3 million, but that's made up of 7 different reserve funds. The assigned portion totals $1.6 million. Of that amount, $850,000 has been consistently appropriated each year to offset the next year's budget. And that remaining $773,000 of the assigned fund balance simply represents purchase orders from the previous fiscal year that were not yet fulfilled, but will be carried into the next school year. Finally, the unassigned fund balance is the $5.6 million you see there, which represents 4% of the 24-25 school year budget. These are our 7, these are our 7 restricted reserves. The employee benefit accrued liability reserve is used to cover payment for unused sick days, vacation days, or personal leave days when an employee retires or separates from the district. The retirement contribution reserve can be used to pay the retirement contributions to the ERS system, and the teacher's retirement system reserve, or TRS, is used to cover the retirement contributions to the TRS system. Both of these reserves help us manage our pension costs. Our workers' compensation reserve is used to pay for workers' compensation claims, including medical and hospital expenses for employees who have been injured on the job. The unemployment insurance reserve reimburses the state unemployment insurance fund for claims made by former employees. And finally, we have two capital reserves and reserve funds in this district that are used for capital projects and large equipment purchases. And these funds allow us to make necessary improvements and purchases without having to rely on debt. So I wanted to focus on the restricted reserves because those are the reserves that can be used by a district as a revenue source, and that just means it helps you fund your budget gap. It helps you balance your budget. So this slide is focusing on 5 of our 7 restricted reserve funds, because these are the only 5 that can be used. So as of June 30th, 2024, the total balance of these 5 reserves was approximately $20 million. For the current school year that we're in, 2024-25 school year, we are appropriating $4.4 million from these reserves. This is what we had to do last year to help us balance this year's current budget. So not including any required interest or potential fund balance allocations, we are estimating that the balance of these reserves at the end of this school year will be about $15.7 million. For the 2025-26 school year, we are planning to appropriate $4.4 million. This increase includes a larger appropriation from that EBLA reserve I mentioned, and that is due to the teacher's retirement incentive that was recently offered by the Board of Education. So the expected payment for the teacher's retirement incentive was added to our budget as a compensated absence expense. That same number is also added as a revenue source from our EBLA reserve. So that actually makes the expense budget neutral. It's not an addition to our budget because not only are we increasing the budget, but we're also increasing the revenue source. So it's called budget neutral for us. We also plan to appropriate $700,000 from the TRS reserve, which will leave just $77,000 in that reserve for next year. In addition, we are appropriating $2 million from the ERS reserve to cover pension costs for the 25-26 school year. We will be using $425,000 from the workers' compensation reserve, essentially using the remaining balance to cover our expected expense for next year. We will not be appropriating any funds from the unemployment reserve as future costs are just too unpredictable at this time. As you can see, between this year and next year, we will be reducing these 5 reserves by nearly half, as we have used these funds to help us close our budget gap for the last couple of years. Here is a highlight of some of our major items that are included in the 25-26 budget that will help enhance educational offerings and support district priorities. We are restoring an elementary literacy coach and computer TA positions, so we will have 1 in each elementary building. These roles will be reinstated through the absorption of UPK positions. We are investing in new elementary literacy program that is aligned with the science of reading approach, ensuring a research-based foundation for literacy instruction. We are adding a speech pathologist at the elementary level, addressing the growing need for speech services as we add 2 self-contained 811 classes next year. In the area of career and technical education, we are introducing Welding 1 and IB Design Technology courses, offering students valuable skills for the workforce. We're investing in artificial intelligence and coding platforms that will be available across all grades from K through 12. The budget also includes funding for a new district website and cybersecurity initiatives, ensuring our digital infrastructure is both accessible and secure. We will continue with our pre-K through 12 professional development focused on core instruction. And lastly, we are expanding the ICT, the Integrated Co-Teach program at Beach Street Middle School to now include grades 6, 7, and 8. Throughout the difficult task of balancing the budget, there were some necessary budget cuts across the district. These decisions were made with the utmost care and consideration to minimize the impact on student programs and services. The majority of these cuts do fall at the secondary level, where we have been able to adjust by slightly increasing class sizes while still maintaining the integrity of our programs. We have also worked to find efficiencies with the administrative staff. For example, we are currently in the process of hiring a replacement for the Assistant Director of Technology who recently separated from the district. And we are looking to combine this position with the Director of Counseling position to reduce administrative costs. This slide essentially lists all of the areas that have been cut from the 2025-26 budget. We are absorbing several positions through attrition. These include 1 FTE for a nurse, 4 FTEs for teachers, including 1 FTE in English Language Arts, 1 FTE in health, 1 FTE in business, 1 FTE in science, and 1 FTE for an administrative position. Unfortunately, we have had to access several teaching positions, including 2 FTEs in English Language Arts, 2 FTEs in Social Studies, 2 FTEs in Physical Education, and 3 FTEs in Library Media. We have also made some program reductions to ensure that we can continue to provide essential services while balancing the budget. Adjustments were made to maintain the alternative high school program at a sustainable level. Adjustments were also made to maintain extracurricular clubs by reducing the number of clubs that are going to be offered at each building. A reduction of supplies district-wide was made. A reduction in instructional and non-instructional equipment was also made, where we prioritized only what is necessary for core instructional needs. While these cuts are necessary, we are committed to minimizing their impact on student learning and will continue to ensure we provide the best possible education for them while maintaining fiscal responsibility. These are our projected average class sizes for the upcoming school year. Please keep in mind that these are estimates, as we are still in the process of reviewing student needs through the CSE and CPSE evaluations, so changes may occur as we finalize staffing and enrollment. This year, we will have 2 propositions on the ballot. One will be for the school budget, and the second will be for the use of the capital reserve. We will also be voting to elect 3 board trustees. As we briefly touched upon earlier, the district has 2 capital reserves. Capital reserves allow a district to save money for future capital projects that otherwise would have to be funded through either your annual budget or a bond. The use of a capital reserve fund comes at no additional cost to taxpayers. Voter approval is required to establish a capital reserve fund, and funds from the capital reserve may only be spent with voter approval each year, and only for the specific purpose for which the fund was created. I know this is hard to say, but I just wanted to list some of our previous capital reserve projects that we have been able to do over the past few years that were all funded through these 2 reserves, and again, with no additional cost to the taxpayers. As you recall, one of the very famous ones was when we installed air conditioning throughout all of our school classrooms and buildings, and that, again, was done at no additional cost to the taxpayers. This slide is just providing a detailed overview of the activity within each one of our capital reserve funds. Our first capital reserve fund was voter approved in May 2019, and the second was voter approved in May 2022. So all of the lines marked with transferred to reserve simply represent the district adding year-end fund balance and required interest allocation to that reserve. And all of the
being here. Appreciate the parents that are here as well, community members. The budget process is just that, it's a process. And when we get to this point where we put our numbers together that we have, look at all the factors involved and try to get to that $0 gap, this is the process that we've gone through to get to this point, and this is our current reality and where we are right now. Just as a quick snapshot of the past 2 years, we've faced 2 years in a row now where we've had multi-million-dollar budget gaps, which has been a big challenge. If you recall, for anyone that went through the process last year, we had a multi-million-dollar gap. We allocated about $4.375 million of our reserves And then we had to take a look at how to make cuts to get down to zero there again. We cut back on some budget codes, we cut back on some programs, we actually eliminated 19 aide positions, 5 teaching assistant positions, and we moved into the following year with those cuts. The big thought was that we need to do, we were looking at another challenging budget year this year, and we need to try to do all we can to be proactive, to head in as healthy as possible into this budget cycle. Just a few things that the district has been looking at. I know that there was some challenging conversations earlier in this school year about our pre-K grants and our allocations for pre-K. We received grant funding for about 213 pre-K students. We made a shift to house our students over at South Shore Children's Center for our pre-K program and move that program outside of our district buildings. There is a large cost savings there that will start to actualize in the coming years. We also offered a teacher's retirement incentive, which we did have a number of people take advantage of. We had 9 teachers take advantage of the retirement for the upcoming school year, and also 14 for the following year. So we have about 23 teachers that did take us up on that incentive. We also have some proactive measures that have been taken that we will not actualize the savings right away for as well, but are great long-term items, such as we talk about the Macera property and the deal that we have with BOCES over there. Over the course of the end of that 10 years, we'll start to see, we're in the green in that area as well. So we do have a lot of positives down the line. We also do have a number of, in a few years, we anticipate a large number of retirements from our staff, and cost there to go down as well, which is a large part of our budget. This year, just to hop in there, even after all of those proactive measures, we were looking at, as Mrs. Pallotti said, just over an $8 million budget gap around draft number 1. After allocating, that $4.4 million of our reserves, we were still looking at around a $4 million gap, and there was nowhere else to go but to look at staffing for teachers and administrators. And those are those cuts that you see there. When we did look at those, we went at each level, elementary, middle, and high school. We went course by course to see where, is it potential that we have class sizes that are in the high teens that we could move to the low 20s? That was one factor there. Do we feel that we have any excess staff in any of our departments? And we went across all of the departments one at a time. And I will say that we did not look at names. We did not look at staff members in particular when making these decisions. And the really difficult part of that is when you go into the seniority list, you see who's at the bottom of the seniority list, and you see who are the people that are going to be affected by this. So I just want everyone to know that that was not a factor in making these decisions. The individual people that are facing excess and job loss in this case, these are excellent educators and people that we're proud of having working with SISLIP, and we do hope to bring those staff members back within the recall window that's involved with accessing when we do have additional retirements down the line, when we do have potential for program expansion and things like that. So we are currently working with all those staff members, but truly are thinking about them as individuals as well. I just wanted to say that, so thank you.
We are going to move into our planning session of the Board of Education that is scheduled to immediately follow the budget work